I've generated over $73 million in email marketing revenue for D2C brands. And a big percentage of that number comes from the welcome flow. Because for most brands, this is the #1 revenue driver in their Klaviyo accounts. So in this video, I'm gonna show you how to build one that converts the maximum amount of cold strangers into new customers. We'll cover everything from what a good flow looks like to the timing and the exact emails to include with real examples at the end. But first, let's talk about what you shouldn't do in your welcome flow. Because I've seen behind the scenes of hundreds of brands running these welcome flows and generating barely any revenue. And the reason for that is simple. They put all their focus into their weekly campaigns while treating their flows and automations as something you set up once and you never look at again. And when they set up their welcome flows, they only send 2, 3, maybe 4 emails, add a discount code, and call it a day. Completely ignoring the fact that when someone joins your email list, that is the highest point of interest they will ever have with your brand. Think about it. Someone just willingly gave you their name and email expecting to hear from you because they want to. And you just respond to them with 2 to 3 generic emails that look more like blog posts and call it a day. On top of that, with CPMs climbing the way they are, you're paying more than ever to acquire those customers in the first place, which means a weak welcome flow is actively costing you money. So how do you know if your brand is dropping the ball? First off, your welcome flow is too short. I'll show you the perfect length later in the video. Second, you only talk about discounts. If every email you send is only talking about how much you're gonna save a customer money, you're not doing your brand or your products justice. So how do you actually get them to buy? Well, a good welcome flow really comes down to 4 things. 1, tighter timing. People think you need multiple days between these emails, but it's really anywhere from 12 to 36 hours. You wanna create as many touch points as possible while they're still interested in what you have to say. Wait 10 days and they probably don't care. Next, there's the breadth of your content. You need to treat every email like a billboard. Each one should hit a different angle and be able to stand on its own. Number 3 is including a mix of design and plain text. You want a good combination to boost deliverability and make sure people are actually engaging with the emails you're sending them. And finally, 4, using urgency and scarcity the right way. You want to lean into timing language, highlighting pain points, and positioning your product as the one true thing they need to achieve the dream outcome you promised them. That way, you get people to buy without just relying on discount codes, simply because they see the value of your product. These are the 4 factors that make a good welcome flow, and I'm gonna dive deeper into each one. But there's one strategy that 99% of brands don't even know of that I've seen generate over a 20x return when used correctly. And I'm gonna show you exactly what it is in a minute. But before I do, we need to talk about the elephant in the room. How many emails should be in the welcome flow and how often should you send them? This is the #1 question I get asked by brand owners, and it's the one thing I've seen most brands get wrong. The simple answer, you need 8 to 12 emails spaced 12 to 36 hours apart. That's it. And I know that sounds like a lot, but remember what I just said. The second someone joins your email list is the most interested they will ever be in your brand. So you wanna hit them virtually every day or every other day while the iron's still hot in the first week and a half of them joining the list. Most brands do the opposite and drip 1 email every 2, 3, 4 days because they want to avoid annoying people. But by the time their 3rd email lands, their new subscriber either forgot about them or already bought from a competitor. Now, with an average of 10 emails to work with in your welcome flow, you also have to be very strategic with what you send and where it is in said flow. Because making the same argument and saying it in 10 similar ways is not the way you get someone to buy. You need to come at them from as many different angles as possible. But first, email #1 delivers the welcome offer. If you're struggling with deliverability, you should make this first email a plain text because you have a much higher likelihood of hitting the inbox. And pro tip, in this plain text towards the bottom, ask the customer to reply to why they joined in the first place. Because if you can get dozens to hundreds of people every month replying to this email, it'll boost your sender reputation and overall increase your deliverability, especially if you're running into issues here. And because this email sends right after someone signed up to your welcome pop-up on site, this is the most engaged with email in all of your flows. So if you're gonna gamify this reply to, this is the email to put it in. From there, each subsequent email hits a different angle, telling your brand story, hitting pain points, giving us versus them comparisons, promoting your unique selling propositions, pushing urgency, and so on. Every email is completely different from the one before it, except for one thing, the pencil banner at the top. If you're not gonna push the welcome offer itself in the above the fold section, I highly recommend using a pencil banner that displays the code or the main offer. That way, there's zero friction, zero confusion, and the first thing they see when they open any of your welcome emails is the welcome offer. And then there's that one strategy I mentioned earlier, the one 99% of brands completely overlook. That strategy is sending a direct mail postcard in the welcome flow when someone has not converted on the offer within 14 to 30 days of joining your list. See, if you've already sent 6 or 7 emails and someone hasn't converted on the welcome offer, chances are they're not even opening up your emails anymore. So simply blasting more will not fix anything. But having a postcard delivered right to their front door, it's a a physical reminder of their welcome offer that they can't report as spam. It's the perfect way to get them back on the saddle and make sure they actually see and remember what their welcome offer was. Now, if you don't want to guess whether your welcome flow is leaking revenue, you can book a free audit from my team using the link below. We've generated over $73 million in retention revenue through email, SMS, direct mail, and more for some of the biggest Shopify brands in the world. So if you want us to take a look under the hood and see what you're running and if we can make your welcome flow even better than it is now, hit the link in the description and book a free audit call now. Either way, once the flow skeleton is built, the only thing that's left is writing the copy and designing the emails. Because you can have the best, prettiest flow strategy in the world, but if the actual content, the angles, and the emails suck, none of it matters. And I can spend the next few minutes trying to explain it to you, but better, I've gone ahead and rewritten the copy and designed 5 unique welcome emails for a brand in the wild. So instead of wasting time on theory, let's go ahead, jump in Figma. I'll show you what a real high converting welcome flow looks like and give you some tips on how to build your own. All right, so now that we're in Figma, what we're looking at here and what we're gonna be covering are 5 custom welcome emails I made for a brand called Wild Roman. And if you don't know what this brand is, that's okay. All you need to know is it's a men's skincare brand that's packed with good ingredients made from the same era that our grandparents came from. And what we're gonna do is jump from email to email, and I'm just gonna give you a quick TLDR of the copy, the different kinds of design elements that make it a good welcome email so you can steal it for yourself and potentially come up with a bunch of different angles to make some of the best welcome emails that you've ever had. So welcome one, what it says at the top, above the fold, which again, above the fold is anything you can see before you actually scroll, is welcome to your new ritual. Wild Roman is a return to basic instincts and raw skincare formulas refined for performance. Our ritual is simple: wash, serum, moisturize. Nice and clean. Doesn't really get better than that. You just really, the only 3 things you need to do above here is put the discount code or the welcome offer, a strong CTA, and some kind of hero shot. And in this case, at the bottom here, we have a lineup shot of the core hero SKUs that kind of transition right into the next section. Then, as we go into section number 2, we've got build a foundation for discipline. We've stripped skincare of everything that was unnecessary until all that was left was 100% all natural ingredients that your grandfather would know. This section is just telling you what the brand's all about. This is their main USP or unique selling proposition. And then finally, what we do is a really, really big whiff that I see a lot of brands make, so take note in the welcome flow, because in a lot of cases, this is the first time a customer or a person clicked on Meta ever seeing your website. You want to merchandise the products to give them a nice, elegant path to start browsing and looking at your core sellers. So in this case, what I've got here is first we show the body moisturizer, then the face, then the serum, and then we end this email off by pushing people to different routine sets. And these are really important because each of these 3 things, the complete routine, the face routine, and the body routine, are high AOV bundles that Wild Roman is pushing on subscription. So now that I'm looking at this again, I actually would probably move these routine sections above the independent hero SKUs, because one big note is the higher up something is in the email, the more clicks you will get. It's the same thing in email as the same thing in conversion rate optimization on websites. The less someone has to scroll, the more likely they are to actually click it. All in all, your welcome number 1 should include the welcome offer, a 1 to 2 line blurb telling customers what you're all about, and merchandising your products, preferably putting high AOV products or bundles closer to the top. All right, cool. Now we've got welcome email 2 right here. And in this email, it's a little different. Above the fold, we've got harness nature to fortify your skin. We've got the welcome code right there, a nice strong CTA, but then as we go down, try to guess what the main angle of this email is trying to hit on. Our philosophy combines the raw power of the natural world with the precision of modern skincare. Our farm-to-table ingredients are chosen for potency and tested of purity to deliver resilient skin. Notice how everything we're talking about is now actually what's in the bottle. The first email is what is the brand about. The second is attacking a pain point. As we keep scrolling, you see it nice and big in the subheader, and the headline is no synthetic fillers, just concentrated ingredients. This email is attacking a pain point. It's a slight variation as a direct us versus them, David and Goliath. But in this case, what we're hoping to do is somebody who's reading this email, if they know that their Bath & Body Works soap has a bunch of junk in it and they see what Wild Roman has instead, this is gonna resonate with them. We don't believe in reinventing the wheel. History's greatest civilizations knew the secret to healthy skin, so we've taken those honor practices and distilled them into a simple but powerful regimen for men. Then we've got the nice 6 ingredients plastered right here, followed by a CTA to go look at all the other ingredients. And lastly, to close it off, we've got this nice optimized footer banner that says build your regimen, exploring all products. And pro tip, I would put this link directly to one of the bundles. What a lot of brands might do is put this to the /all products slug on their website. But again, you are the director. You control where customers customers go. So anytime you're ambiguous with where you're sending people, be very, very clear internally of what you're gonna link to, because that decision alone could be the decision of whether someone gets a high AOV product or a low AOV one. So welcome number 2 is a pain point driven email. Then we've got welcome 3, ancient skincare for the modern man. Your skin deserves better. Strength, grit, and resilience, not perfection. Wild Roman keeps you ready for whatever comes next. Again, we've decided to plaster the welcome code at the top, CTA, followed by a more than skincare, streamlining skincare to include all these others, simple, focused, purposeful, just like your workouts, nutrition, daily habits. And then as we go through, the entire meat of this section is now talking about this dream state, this outcome. We're tying in Wild Roman to their other habits, their diets, their workouts, things, their goals of them trying to be better. We are associating this brand with the dreams and aspirations that they want. Obviously, not every brand can do this. It's very contingent on the product, the industry, the brand, the actual USPs, ingredients, things that you use in your product of what you can actually put in these welcome emails. But for a very founder-led, mission-driven brand like Wild Roman, it's very easy to stuff aspirational type emails like this. And then as we keep going down, it just leads right to a CTA that says build your regimen. Notice another thing. In every one of these emails, whenever we can talk about stacks, routines, regimens, we're painting the picture of what an entire Wild Roman countertop looks like. Not just the face serum, not just the moisturizer, the whole gambit. It's a tiny touch, but it is important. All right, now we've got welcome 4. And this is an interesting one because earlier in the video, I told you you should have a good mix between designed emails and plain text emails. Welcome 4 that I'm showing you here is what I call a branded plain text. It doesn't necessarily look like it's coming from a human being because obviously it's designed, it's got that typewriter type font and a few other details, but it's still intimate enough that it gets kind of the best of both worlds where you can add elements like this note to self graphic. You can add the code in a different kind of stylized text, but it still feels pretty intimate, as you can see by the sign off from Sahil, the founder. I probably also add a real plain text email as welcome 6, 7, or 8, but let me just jump into this one for now. At the top here, this is the first email that we are not actually displaying the code in the above the fold, so this is where I would use a pencil banner to make sure even if they don't scroll, they can still see the code. Then this is where that longer form direct response comes into play. From line to line, it's basically hitting on all the different kinds of pain points or things that a Wild Roman customer might be thinking in their head. It talks about discipline, self-respect, tying that back to skincare, explaining away your concerns of what you're typically used to and the things that you're gonna experience when you come to Wild Roman. And then at the very end, it finally doubles down on that welcome code to remind you, and it pushes a little bit of urgency. And then as we scroll down, it's another type of optimized section where, again, we're pushing the high AOV bundles to get a customer to commit to one of these different kinds of routines, the complete, the face, or the body routine. Nice and easy. And now here's welcome email number 5. We've got stronger skin, stronger men. Wild Roman was born from passion. Its sole ambition is to see time-honored, natural ingredients put back into skincare to elevate men, not just their skin. We've got the code, we've got the CTA again, and then we have the founder, a notable face. We've got Sahil right at the top, leading directly into his story, which, pro tip, if you are a founder-led brand, having one, maybe even 2 emails, and again, this is where I would do that plain text email, telling the story, behind the scenes content, things like that. These kinds of emails hit really, really well with customers. In these sections, it talks about how Sahil used to have bad skin, how he would diet, he would train, he would work hard, and he could do nothing about it. But that was until he talked to his 90-year-old grandmother who suggested all these old, weird, raw types of ingredients that inevitably improved his skin, confidence, energy, all these benefits that typically you wouldn't associate with face serums and creams, especially men, but it all ties back in elegantly to the products. And then, same as the previous email, after we get past this little transition banner, it shows you one more time the different kinds of independent hero SKUs followed by the complete routine, and even at the top, adds a little one-liner blurb for a clean face, for refreshed skin, for moisturized skin, and then for a full routine. And there you have it. If you're trying to build a welcome flow for your brand, before you jump into it, you need to just create a massive bullet list of 10, 15, 20 different pain points, unique benefits, creative angles that spin all these little softer benefits and USPs these back into specific hero SKUs and bundles that you can push in these different emails. Like I said earlier, every single email is like a billboard. You're probably gonna have customers that only ever see 1, 2, maybe 3 of your welcome emails. But when you take these different shots on goal, you have a much more likely chance of getting them to actually convert if you're not just regurgitating the same thing, putting boilerplate templates, using these gross review banners and things that people don't actually care about. The way you're actually gonna convert them is putting the time and energy into creating really good copy, really good design, and thinking about what your customers actually care about. Now, here's what it would look like if we were to actually go and slice and add these emails into Klaviyo. All right, now that we're in Klaviyo, here's what it looks like. I've gone ahead and created a boilerplate flow. I've labeled it welcome flow Wild Roman, but in your case, if you are going to create your first ever welcome flow, you will go ahead and click at the top right here where it says create flow. And then before choosing any one of these actual triggers, you're gonna go ahead and build your own at the top. Once you do that, you're gonna get to a screen that looks like this. This is where you actually add the trigger of what has to occur to get someone to go into this flow. And in this case, what it has to do is somebody needs to be added to a list. Whether your list is in Klaviyo, in PostScript, or using Alia pop-ups, which I highly recommend, doesn't matter. All that matters here is you make sure you choose the correct list of where are all your welcome subscribers flowing into. So let's just assume newsletter is that list. What you're gonna do is choose no re-entry. In most cases, you never want anyone to receive the welcome offer more than once. And from there, I'm gonna go ahead and save. I'll confirm and save. And now we have the flow builder in Klaviyo. So what I'll do is I will drag in an email block here. All right, so I've got this first welcome block here. And tip, never put a time block above this email block. Reason being, if someone just signed up to the welcome pop-up, you want them to get that email immediately. So from there, what you're gonna do is create your subject line. I'm gonna do super boilerplate. I don't recommend using this, but I'm just gonna say, welcome to the family. That's a terrible subject line. For the sake of this, I'm just gonna keep it. I'm then gonna put about Wild Roman. This is not good copy. In a future video, we're gonna go extremely deep into direct response email copy, but in this case, we're just gonna leave it here. I'm gonna enable UTM tracking. That's really important for your team. I'm gonna skip recently emailed profiles box. We are not going to skip people in the welcome flow. That is the most important flow, so you don't want to skip it. And then I'm gonna save. Next, we'll click on select template. Now, in most cases, I don't actually build the email template while I'm in the flow level, but for the sake of this example, let's go ahead and build it by creating create at the top. Let's go ahead and delete all of the different placeholders that they have here. You probably already have an optimized footer with all your different socials, badges, banners, what have you. So I'm just gonna leave this blank for now. All I care about for this example is creating the core mockup. So what I'm gonna do is drag in an image block right here at the top, select an image, and then on my computer, I have already gone ahead and sliced up all the different slices from Figma to make the total email. So what I'm gonna do now is add in every single one of those slices and show you what it looks like. All right, so there we go. The first block is the header block. So that's added in. What I'm gonna do now is duplicate this out until I get all the total number of sections of emails that I have and then swap in the correct images. So let me go ahead and do that now. So this is what it looks like when all the slices are finally in. How you slice it doesn't really matter, but you do want to take into account the alt text and the link for the given slice. For example, the reason that I sliced it above timeless favorites and below body moisturizer is because if a user is scrolling and they click anywhere on the slice, I want it to go to body moisturizer. But if they scroll a little bit lower and they click anywhere, if they click the model, they click this little tub or the text that says face moisturizer, I want it to go to that unique PDP. And that's basically it. I'm not gonna go into alt text, linking, do's and don'ts. I'll cover that in another video, but for the sake of this welcome flow, that's what it would look like if you were building the actual email content for the flow. Then from there, all you need to do is add the different timing blocks. I always recommend email number 2 should come 12 hours after the first. Most people will say it should be anywhere from 1 to 2 days, but again, this is something you can test, but I can tell you from working with hundreds of brands, the tighter you make these delays, especially in the first 2 to 3 welcome emails, works majority of the time. When people join your email list, this is literally going to be the best time to hit them. So in the first 36 to 48 hours, I want to hit them with multiple different angles, reminders of the welcome offer, and making sure I give them as much information in that time period as possible. So then what I would do is I would clone every single one of these blocks, relabel them, retitle them, put in the proper templates and slices inside of here. And by the end of it, it would have a sequential 10 emails going down in a straight line with different time delays from anywhere from 12 hours to 36. Now, there are all kinds of different A/B tests that you can do, from timing to content tests, and in some cases, doing dynamic welcome flows where you change the first 2 to 3 emails to have dynamic content related to different options of a welcome pop-up. But when you're just starting out, putting in 8 to 12 emails in this welcome flow is all you need to do. And that's exactly how you build a welcome flow that can drive up to 70% of your total email revenue. But automated flows are only one side of the coin of email marketing, because the way brands win with email is changing fast, and most of your competitors haven't caught on yet. So if you want to see how to dominate the new era of email and retention marketing, go ahead, watch this video, and I'll see you there.